Eric Alterman. Wenn es um die Zukunft des Journalismus geht, macht er sich keine Illusionen mehr. Der Blogger, Journalist und Journalismusprofessor glaubt, dass schon bald die letzte Tageszeitung ihren Geist aushauchen wird. Für Wiederbelebungsversuche und Online-Experimente sieht Alterman kaum eine reelle Chance. Doch was verbirgt sich hinter seiner pessimistischen Vision?
It's not just a crisis for journalism, it's a crisis for democracy. Journalism is fun, it's interesting, but it's not important in and of itself. What's important is the role that it plays in creating an informed society, one that can discover the truth about its leadership, but also to discover its own values. Well, the Los Angeles Times has about half of the staff that it had 2 or 3 years ago. The Washington Post has a larger fraction, but still much diminished. You know, the Boston Globe doesn't have a single national reporter or a foreign reporter anymore. So once upon a time, all of these newspapers were doing their own investigations. And now they're down to single staff. And these staffers, they can't serve the communities. And they can't focus on things that require a lot of time. We learned used to be a very good newspaper, the San Diego Union Tribune, which did a terrific investigation of corruption of their congressmen that went to the very highest levels of the Pentagon. There was only one really good set of reporters in Washington from an American newspaper leading up to the Iraq War, the Knight Ridder Bureau. Knight Ridder is gone. The McClatchy company has taken it over. The McClatchy stock is now worth about 5% of what it was worth when it took it over. Most of those reporters have been let go. Some of them remain, but not all, but who knows how long that will. And it's obvious what the effect of this is. So we already have a diminished democracy in the United States as a result. The economics of the web make it impossible to support news gathering. It's just impossible. You need 20 readers on the web to replace 1 reader in print. And the readers are disappearing really fast. And the price of web advertising is not rising. And it's going in the wrong direction, and nobody has any good ideas. Well, my students are mostly interested in how in the world are they going to have careers as journalists, because the world is blowing up in front of them. The old pathways are closed off to them. I was talking about today in the first day of class that I taught at graduate school, and I said, you know, for the entry-level jobs that used to be open to you people, well, there's hundreds of people now who are already trained for those jobs and will take any amount of pay. Because journalists don't go in for money, by and large. They like money, but it's not what's at the bottom of it. I tell them they have to find a specialty and sell themselves. You have to be an entrepreneur as well as a specialist. And it'll be a much, much smaller group of people. No, it's a good idea, because journalists never used to go to journalism school. A small fraction of journalists went to journalism school. But now, and I actually, to tell you the truth, even though I've taught in journalism schools for many years, I was always ambivalent about whether or not I thought they were a good idea, because I never went to journalism school, and most people I know didn't. But in fact now, the training that used to be available to people on the job is no longer available. Those people who were offering, mentoring young journalists now have 5 different jobs they have to get through during the day. They have to blog about their stories, they have to do videos of their stories, there's a copy editor gone, you know. And so if we can help train people and give them an understanding of the issues that are at stake, journalist schools can do that job that used to be done mentoring. So I think the case for journalism school is better than ever. In fact, it's there in a way it never was. Well, what's happening is that people are writing for hits. So they're trying to use phrases that will come up in Google searches, and they're trying to be a little more outrageous because there's much less emphasis on original reporting and much more emphasis on clever phrase making, so that people will be driven to your site, because that's how you make your money, on clicks on your site. So by and large, it's not a good development. I mean, there are lots of, the web is great. I make a lot of my living on the web, and researching is much easier and communication is much better, but it has a lot of negative tendencies and people have to be aware of them. Young people have stopped reading newspapers, and they are not picking up the habit as they get older. That was the hope, that once they get older and bought a house, they would subscribe to the newspaper. So they're not. So if you want to reach these people, who are the people who are most attractive to marketers, you have to go where they are. So where they are is Facebook. Twitter actually isn't that effective, I don't think. The numbers on Twitter show that young people don't really like it. They try it and then they drop it right away. But Facebook is very popular. So I have a Facebook page with 1,000 friends. I've never met any of them. You know, I've met 25 of them who are actually my friends. But I have 1,000 friends, and I post everything I write on Facebook, and maybe they read it, or maybe they send other people to it. And I feel a little silly about it, but you know, it doesn't cost me anything. Well, those communities are actually stronger than ever, but there's no one single community anymore. There's no national community. There's no even really geographic community. That's why journalism is dying, actually, because people no longer live in geographic communities. They live in cyberspace. They are connected to people through the internet. So it doesn't matter. You read the New York Times as a national newspaper, you don't have to read. You're interested in what's happening around you, but you can get that anymore. You don't need that from your newspaper anymore. That was the backbone of newspapers, that kind of community. Department stores, local advertisers, classified ads, you know, I have a couch I need to sell. Those communities have disappeared. Nobody knows. My personal view is that the only thing that can save a big part of it is for universities and foundations to understand the investment that they have in newspapers and for them to take over the unprofitable parts. Some parts of it will remain profitable on the web, like sports and celebrity and all the stuff that doesn't really matter, but that was used to sell the newspaper. But the stuff that doesn't pay for itself, stuff about Abu Ghraib and stuff from Afghanistan and, you know, poppy growing and dangerous stuff, expensive stuff, that we really need the pillars of society to step up and recognize its value and fund it. And universities in particular have a very hard time with journalistic culture because they move at a much slower pace and they like everything much more controlled. No, there's a lot of ruin in Western civilization, and we have a ways to go, but it'll be a much diminished democracy and one that is much easier to manipulate. I mean, the United States was manipulated into war when we had strong newspapers before any of this happened, but it'll be easier. And on a much more diminished scale, we'll have much more corrupt government. And dictators and torturers will get away with things a lot more easily. It'll be more like a third world society, you know?